2017 was a major year for exchange-traded products. According to BlackRock, net inflows surged to $600 billion globally. That's more than 2012 and 2013 combined. Equity flows dominated the picture with their largest calendar year ever. Now, as the new year gets underway, let's look ahead to see what we can expect in terms of ETP flows for 2018. And to help us with this, Rob Powell, product strategist from BlackRock's iShares ETF business, joins me now. Thanks for coming along, Rob.
Pleasure.
So let's kick off with the overall picture because it was a record year for ETPs in 2017. Could 2018 be another record?
Well, there's many early indications from flows that we've seen this year to suggest that it may be, but it's obviously very early days. For example, over just the last week, we've seen very close to $23 billion of inflows coming in globally to all ETPs. Now, this is the second largest inflow since March last year, so a very punchy start to the year.
So flows were dwarfed by equities last year and commodities did less well, and that's really unsurprising given the continued record highs we're seeing in a lot of the major indices. Do equities continue to dominate in 2018?
Again, early indications are that yes, that may be the case. We have many people, many high-profile commentators in the market coming out and calling the end of the bond rally. Whether that's the case in ETP flows, it remains to be seen. We have seen healthy flow numbers for fixed income, albeit slightly smaller than what we've seen in equities this year, but I would expect that equities are likely to be the dominant asset class this year as well.
Just on that fixed income point, because BlackRock saw particular interest in its fixed income ETF products, the fact that the 30-year bull market for bonds could be coming to an end, is that a concern for you?
I wouldn't call it as a concern at all, because what we're seeing is increased usage of fixed income ETFs in general. So we're seeing single bond buyers moving towards fixed income ETFs as a viable alternative to the traditional access points for fixed income markets. So despite maybe on a strategy level or an asset allocation level, people being less positive on balance towards fixed income, we're still seeing that structural support of more people recognizing the ETF as a viable instrument in that space.
So on the geographic picture, there are a few key themes that you picked up from 2017. One you called the revival in European equities. Is Europe still the place to be in 2018?
Well, I mean, the swing that we saw between 2016 and 2017 in European equity ETFs was quite remarkable, actually. So we saw a $38 billion outflow from Europe in 2016, and we saw that almost completely reverse in 2017. So we saw $37 billion moving back into European equities in 2017. What was quite interesting about that was the dynamic between European and US investors when it came to making those allocations. We saw European investors, so money flowing into EMEA-listed ETFs, happening on a consistent basis throughout the year, whereas for US investors it was much choppier. So we saw periods of inflows and periods of outflows depending on the direction of the dollar, which was the key, we think, the key driver of flows from US equity, from US listed to US listed European
So
products.
on that weaker dollar, that was one of the key drivers for EM as well, along with that synchronized global upswing that we've seen in growth. Do you think that EM is still attractive in 2018?
Yes, so EM assets broadly have had a lot of focus over the last 12 months. So we've seen a lot of money going into EM equities and also into EM debt. It was a record year for EM debt, and that's really pushed on into the start of 2018, particularly for EM debt. So we've seen the last 2 weeks be the second largest ever fortnightly flow into EM debt ETFs. The previous biggest was in mid-2016, so a really, really strong start to the year. So again, the early indications suggest that EM assets are still in vogue in the ETF space.
Rob, thank you very much. That was Rob Powell from BlackRock. Plenty of food for thought there. Geographies, asset classes, a lot to think about in terms of the ETP flows for 2018. I'm Victoria Scholar. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Subscribe to IG for educational content, company insight, financial analysis and expert commentary.